First story. I banned my family from contacting my ungrateful daughter after she left my house without serving her time. After I grounded her for not babysitting her stepbrother. But my entitled younger daughter tried to call her sister. So I grounded her too. Now everyone has abandoned me, and I regret my actions. I 35F share 3 kids with my ex-husband D, 40M Kayla 16, Ava 13, and Jackson 8. My husband of 4 years, Matt 38, and I have 1 son together, Mason 3. We've been living together for 6 years. My divorce happened shortly after Mason was born. Since then, the kids have lived with us full time. My ex sees the kids 1 weekend a month. It's not a custody issue, he's not a danger, but his finances are tight. He rents a small 1-bedroom and works odd hours. That's all he can realistically manage. He's a decent father when he shows up. But day-to-day parenting is on me and Matt. Matt has stepped into a father figure role for all 3 of my older kids. He's at every school meeting, helps with homework, coaches Jackson's little league, and treats the girls with patience and fairness. But I'm the one who enforces structure, boundaries, and consequences. Always have been. And that's where this story starts. A couple weeks ago, Kayla agreed to watch Mason for 1 hour after school. Not a big ask. Matt had to stay late at work, and Ava had a dance activity I had promised to take her to. I double-checked with Kayla the day before and again the morning of. Both times, she gave me a casual, "Yeah, no problem." But the day came, and about 15 minutes before she was supposed to be home, she texted me. "Actually, I'm going out with friend and the others after school. Sorry. Can't watch Mason." That was it. No heads up, no backup plan, no apology. She just bailed. That meant Ava had to miss her activity again, and I had to leave work early to make sure Mason was cared for. Matt rushed home early too. It threw off everything for all of us. And the thing is, this wasn't a one-off. Kayla has a habit of saying yes to things, then deciding later that her social life takes priority. She did this when she promised to help Ava study for her midterms last year, then vanished because her friends were going to the mall. A few months ago, she was supposed to babysit Jackson so Matt and I could attend a work dinner. She showed up nearly an hour late, with no explanation. This has been building for a while. I don't treat my older kids like unpaid babysitters. I don't expect them to be default carers. But when they commit to helping out, especially when we plan around it, it's their responsibility to follow through. And Kayla's been taking those commitments lightly. So I grounded her for 1 month. No phone, no social outings, no hanging with friends. School, home, responsibilities. That's it. She exploded. Told me I was controlling and treating her like a servant. Said I just had kids to use them to raise the younger ones. She packed a bag and left to stay with her dad that same night. The next day, D, my ex, called to tell me he was only grounding her for a week because a whole month is excessive. He said I was being dramatic over a small slip-up and that I shouldn't expect teenagers to babysit. I reminded him that this wasn't just about babysitting. It was about breaking a clear agreement and showing zero accountability again. He brushed it off. Told me she needs space and that maybe your house is too strict. He even said we should have had a backup plan for Mason in case Kayla changed her mind. That's when I stopped trying to reason with him. Kayla's been at his place for 2 weeks now and has made it clear she's not coming home unless I drop the punishment. I told her flat out, whether she comes home now or in a month, her punishment starts when she walks through the door. The month still stands. That's when things escalated again. I found out Kayla was texting Ava and Jackson constantly, telling them I was keeping her away and refusing to even talk to her. Which isn't true. She left on her own. She's welcome to come home. She just doesn't want to if there are consequences waiting. The problem is, her version of events makes her the victim. She paints it like I grounded her for going out with friends, not for bailing on an agreed responsibility last minute and messing up everyone else's day. I'm not going to let her rewrite what happened just because it's easier to blame everyone else. So I made a call. I told the kids no contact with Kayla unless it's during their weekend with their dad. If she's going to stay there and ignore the rules of this house, she doesn't get to still act like part of this household when it's convenient. You don't get to run from consequences and still get the emotional benefits of being included. Actions have weight. Ava didn't take it well. She said I was cutting Kayla out. I explained the difference. I'm not telling her not to talk to her sister. I'm saying we're not going to reward bad behavior with regular contact. Ava gets it now, but at the time she got upset and called Kayla anyway. I caught it, and Ava got grounded too for hiding it, not for the call itself. This has thrown the whole house off. Jackson doesn't understand the situation fully. He just knows his big sister isn't around, and he's confused why she's not coming back. Mason is too little to grasp what's going on, but he's asked for her a few times. Matt and I have had more tension between us in the last 2 weeks than we've had all year. Matt thinks I should back off. He says this isn't about parenting anymore. It's about pride. That if I don't compromise, I'll just end up pushing Kayla further away. I told him this has nothing to do with pride, it's about not letting a kid dictate the terms of the household. If we give in now, the message to every one of these kids is, if you hate the rules, leave and wait until someone folds. I'm not folding. And I'm not negotiating with someone who doesn't even live here right now. Kayla hasn't once acknowledged that what she did was wrong. Not once has she said, I'm sorry for putting Ava in that position, or I shouldn't have ditched after saying yes. All she said is, you're being unfair, and I won't come home unless the punishment is gone. I'm raising 4 kids in one house. If Kayla learns she can avoid any consequence by running to Dad's, then I lose every bit of structure I've built. And it won't stop at Kayla. Ava will try it next. Jackson when he's older. They'll all know, just leave, and Mom will give up. People keep saying, teenagers make mistakes. Sure. But part of being a teenager is learning how to deal with those mistakes. Do not skip town and expect the adults to cave because you're pouting. Kayla wants to act grown, but she's not willing to face grown consequences. Matt asked me last night if I've even missed her. Of course I have. But I'm not going to chase her down while she's refusing to be accountable. That's not parenting, that's begging. And I'm not begging a teenager to come home so she can dodge consequences and pretend like nothing happened. The door is open. She knows it. She can come home, serve her time, apologize, and move forward. But until then, I'm not playing along like everything is fine. Until she is mature, I have nothing to say to her. Comments. Comment 1. This is messy, and I don't think you're the arsehole, but I do think you're in dangerous territory. Everyone's talking about Kayla, but I'm really worried about Ava and Jackson. Ava is 13 right at that age where she's watching everything unfold. If she sees that being honest, like telling you she talked to Kayla, just gets her punished, she might stop being honest. Or worse, she starts feeling like she's stuck in the middle of a cold war between her mom and her sister. Same with Jackson. 8 is young, but not clueless. If his big sister disappears for weeks and nobody explains it except she's grounded, that's going to sit weird with him for a long time. I'm not saying let Kayla off the hook, but you need to pull your younger kids in and check their emotional temperature. They're already collateral damage in this fight, and it's going to affect how they relate to you and Kayla going forward. Right now the house sounds like it's on lockdown because one person didn't follow through. That's a lot of pressure for the rest of the family to carry. Comment 2. NTA. But holy hell, your ex is trash at co-parenting. I'm a divorced dad too, and if I ever undercut my ex's discipline like that, she'd have every right to blow up my phone. That, I didn't agree to that rule line. Weak. He's just trying to score points with Kayla, so she sees him as the chill parent while you're stuck being the grown-up. Classic Disneyland dad SHT. You were absolutely right to say the grounding starts when she comes home. What your ex just taught her is, if you don't like the rules, run to me, and I'll soften them. He's not doing her any favors long term. What happens when she has a job and bails on a shift last minute? Is she going to run to Dad to explain that her manager was too harsh? And your husband Matt, right? He sounds decent, but he's being a little naive. This isn't a power struggle. It's a parenting boundary. If he thinks giving in will bring peace, he's mistaken. It'll just show Kayla she can play houses against each other. Stand your ground. You're doing the hard part now, so you don't raise a 25-year-old who still can't take responsibility. Comment 3. YTA. I work in family counseling with teens, and what you are doing is creating emotional estrangement. You are correct that backing out of a commitment deserves a consequence. You are not correct in how you escalated the situation. Cutting off contact is not discipline, it's a relational threat. The message you've sent your daughter is, love and access to your family are conditional upon compliance. That is the exact parenting pattern that creates long-term resentment, low emotional trust, and the likelihood she will go no contact at 18. And your husband is right, this has become personal for you. You keep talking about not losing authority. But parenting isn't about having authority, it's about teaching responsibility while maintaining connection. A 1-month grounding. Reasonable. Telling her she cannot speak to her siblings, and punishing your other daughter for not playing gatekeeper for your power stance. That's emotional control. And I want to be very, very clear here. Teenagers do not forget when a parent cuts them off. They don't learn respect from that. They learn distance. You will win in this battle, but you are on track to lose your relationship with her entirely. Update. I didn't expect things to turn into a custody situation, but here we are. I got a letter from family court last week saying my ex filed for a custody modification hearing. He's claiming I'm emotionally abusive and that my home is restrictive and controlling. He cited Kayla leaving as an example of a harmful home environment. He is asking for week on/week off custody. Let me be clear. D cannot even afford the groceries for the kids. He already gets 1 weekend a month. His fridge is a single shelf and expired sauce. He sleeps on a fold-out. He has nothing stable. He knows that. I know that. The court will see that. The finances alone make shared residential custody ridiculous. I am the one who pays for school supplies, maintains health insurance, handles activities and transportation, goes to parent-teacher conferences, buys clothes, shoes, deodorant, everything. I've done this for 6 years without him contributing more than sporadic child support when he remembers or when the state pressures him. So yes, I think I'll win the custody hearing. I'm not worried about the ruling. I'm worried about the damage he is intentionally causing in the meantime. Because now I know this wasn't about Kayla's punishment. It wasn't about babysitting. This was D waiting for any opening to play rescuer and make himself look like a better parent than me. He sees Kayla becoming a teenager and thinks this is his chance to swoop in and be the cool dad who saves her from the strict mum. And Kayla is eating it up because she's 16 and mad at me. She has zero perspective. But the consequences are landing on Ava the hardest. Ava broke down 2 nights ago. She said she feels like she has to choose sides. Like if she is close to me, she is betraying Kayla. But if she supports Kayla, she's betraying the home she actually lives in. She said she's tired of being the middle kid who always loses something. She said missing her dance event because of Kayla still stings. She said the whole situation makes her feel like her needs never matter compared to the fights of the adults around her. That gutted me. But I didn't apologize for grounding her. I explained the reason again. I told her decisions have weight. I told her sister did not get punished for needing freedom. She got punished for breaking her word and leaving others to pay the cost. Ava nodded. She understood. But she also asked if I'm doing all this because I'm afraid to be the weak parent. And that one stayed with me. Because yes, I am afraid of that. I grew up in a house where consequences didn't exist. I had to raise myself. I was doing chores at 8 and working part-time at 14. I didn't have the luxury of flaking. I didn't have parents who gave it SHT if I came home at night. I forced myself into adulthood because no one else parented me. I refused to raise kids who learn irresponsibility as normal. But that brings me to Matt. He is slipping away from me on this. Not in the sense of leaving, but in the sense that I can feel him silently hoping I'll loosen the reins so the house doesn't feel so heavy. He hasn't said it, but I know he has been texting Kayla. I found a message thread. Nothing dramatic, no betrayal, but he was telling her things like, I know this is hard, and I'm here when you need to talk. That sounds supportive, but the tone reads like he's positioning himself as the softer parent. And I don't need a soft parent. I need a partner. I confronted him. Not yelling, just direct. I told him if he keeps giving Kayla emotional shelter from consequences, he is undoing every attempt I make at structure. He said I'm acting like Kayla is an enemy. I said she is not an enemy, but she is acting like a person who does not want to be responsible for her actions. And someone in this house needs to teach her that actions matter. He said he understands, but I could see he doesn't fully agree. And that is the part that scares me more than the custody hearing. Because I can fight a court and win. I can out-organize D any day. But I can't force my husband to stand beside me emotionally if he wants peace more than he wants parenting. Meanwhile, Jackson has started acting weird. He didn't want to go to school twice this week. His teacher emailed, saying he's more withdrawn and quiet. He asked me last night if Kayla left because we're bad. That shook me in a way that nothing else has. I explained it was about rule breaking and choices, not love. But the damage is happening whether I intend it or not. And Kayla? She has blocked me. Fully. Phone, social media, everything. But she's still messaging Ava and Jackson through group chats. And Ava told me Kayla posted online about me vague, dramatic. My mother is controlling and isolates me type content. She's letting kids at school tell her she's a hero for escaping. Teenagers love a rebellion narrative. She is lying to people about Emotional abuse. She is saying I kept her trapped in the house for years. That is a complete invention. She goes out constantly. She had sleepovers. She had trips. She had everything I didn't have as a teenager. But she is playing victim to justify what she did. And I don't expect a 16-year-old to self-correct on that. She will need reality to catch up to her before she understands. And yes, when she comes home, the grounding will still happen. I am not backing down from that. What I need right now is for Matt to understand that backing me up is not about being harsh. It's about not teaching our children that accountability is negotiable depending on who gives you attention. I don't want to lose my daughter. I don't want this to become a years-long Cold War. I am not heartless. I am not unfeeling. I am trying to keep 4 kids from splintering into chaos. But I also refuse to raise kids who learn that consequences are optional. Kayla will come home. The punishment will stand. All I need now is for my husband to stand with me, not behind me, not in front of me with me. I still believe I was right. Even after all of this, I am not backing down. Comments. Comment 1. Why Tia in the update? Not for the original grounding, but for how you're handling the fallout. You're so focused on not losing that you're ignoring the actual damage. You talk like you're running a military unit, not a household. You keep saying, I refuse to raise kids who think consequences are optional. But right now the consequence isn't teaching Kayla anything, it's pushing her into your ex's arms and wrecking your connection with Ava and Jackson. And the whole, she will still be grounded when she gets home thing. Yeah, that's not how reintegration works. She's blocked you. She's publicly calling you abusive. Court is involved. The relationship has changed. You can't pretend you can just slot her back into a punishment like nothing happened. And stop saying, I went through worse. That doesn't make you strong, it makes you numb. You didn't survive your childhood. You adapted. Now you're passing the adaptation down like it's wisdom. If you don't shift your approach soon, Kayla's not coming back in any meaningful way, even if she physically returns. Comment 2. Why TA? And I don't mean you were too strict. I mean, you are actively using emotional withdrawal as punishment, which is emotional abuse. You didn't just ground your daughter. You cut off her access to her siblings as leverage. You made love, belonging, and family connection conditional on obedience. That is textbook emotional control. You keep saying actions have consequences. But where are your consequences? You escalated instead of de-escalating. You made Ava a pawn. You ignored how this impacted Jackson. You're blaming everyone except yourself. You keep repeating, I went through worse. That's not justification. That's evidence you never healed. You are parenting from your trauma, not from what your children actually need. You're not teaching responsibility, you're teaching fear and withdrawal. And now your daughter is telling the world she feels emotionally unsafe because you made family conditional. You didn't lose her because she's immature. You lost her because you made her believe she wasn't allowed to come home unless she surrendered her dignity. Comment 3. I've lived this exact situation. Your ex is playing the long game. Make you look like the rigid parent. Make himself look like the safe, emotional place. Slowly turn one child into his ally. It's classic alienation behavior. He knows damn well he can't financially handle custody. The custody filing isn't about winning. It's about stirring conflict, so he becomes the sympathetic parent in Kayla's eyes. And it is working. The problem now isn't Kayla or your ex. The real fracture line is Matt. If Matt continues the, I'll just be the calm one who talks softly to Kayla thing, he becomes the third household, the emotional house. Once a kid learns, there is a soft parent and a hard parent. The hard parent loses every time. You need to sit down with Matt where the conversation is not, back me up because I'm right. It needs to be. If you stay neutral or comforting from the side, you are accidentally teaching the kids that my rules are optional. We cannot have 2 sets of consequences inside one home. If he gets that, you can recover this. If he doesn't, then Kayla is just the beginning. Update. It has been almost a year since my original post. I didn't think things could get worse back then. I was wrong. I am writing because I genuinely can't understand how the situation spiraled this far when all I tried to do was hold my daughter accountable for her actions. When I last updated, Kayla was 16. She's 17 now. After Kayla left and stayed with my XD, nothing improved. Therapy was ordered by the court after the custody filing. I attended. I participated. Kayla barely spoke in the sessions. She sat with her arms crossed and answered everything with either, I don't know, or it wouldn't matter. The therapist told me Kayla felt I withheld emotional safety. I disagreed. I enforced consequences. There is a difference. But the sessions didn't repair anything. They just recorded that we could not build trust. Meanwhile, Ava began slipping too. She grew more distant, and eventually she asked to try living with Dad for a while. She said she needed less pressure. I told her she could finish the school year, and we'd revisit. But she told the school counselor she felt unsafe emotionally in my home, and once those words were spoken, the whole machine started. The court allowed her to move to D's temporarily. Then Jackson started having panic symptoms, stomach aches, crying at drop-off, and waking up at night. The school counselor suggested the tension at home was taking a toll. I have always taken care of Jackson every doctor appointment, every bedtime, every meltdown, so I stepped up harder. I became even more structured. It helped him stabilize. I thought I was doing things correctly. But the court saw it differently. They saw it as increased rigidity. Then the worst hit. Matt filed for divorce. He sat me down after the custody hearing and said he couldn't live in a house where emotional punishment is used as parenting. Those were his words. Then he said he was petitioning for 50/50th custody of Mason because he couldn't trust my parenting approach anymore. I honestly felt like he stabbed me in the spine. This is the same man who watched me hold this family together for years financially, emotionally, and physically. The same man who let me handle school calls, doctor visits, discipline, schedules, everything. And now he wants to paint me as some unstable tyrant because it's convenient for him to walk away clean. So the court cases stacked on each other, my ex fighting for custody of the girls, and now my husband fighting for custody of my youngest. And this is where the new blow came. My ex is actually in a stable place now. He got a new job, full-time, with benefits. He got a 2-bedroom apartment. He started therapy himself. He showed reunification effort. It's like the universe decided to reward him for showing up after being absent for years. So Ava and Kayla both live with him now. Kayla works part-time at a grocery store near his apartment. She takes the bus. She pays for her own phone. She buys her own clothes sometimes. She posted online about how free she feels. I read it. Yes, I did. And it felt like being erased. She wrote, I finally have a home where I'm not punished for being myself. No acknowledgement that she is working at 17 because she blew up her home life. No acknowledgement that if she stayed here, she wouldn't be skipping meals or budgeting shampoo. She thinks independence is freedom. She has no idea what real pressure is yet. The court didn't give D full custody, but they gave him residential custody for Kayla and Ava, with shared legal custody. I still see them. I still have weekends sometimes. It's polite. It's stiff. It's like visiting someone else's children. But I kept Jackson. The court agreed he is more attached here, more stable here, and that moving him would be harmful. I fought like hell for that, and I won. However, nobody is kind to me in this house anymore. Not mean, not disrespectful, just cold. Like everyone is waiting for me to be the villain again, like they're careful around me. And the divorce with Matt is ongoing. He's asking for joint custody of Mason. He claims I discipline through isolation. His lawyer is trying to argue my parenting style is emotionally coercive. If I lose custody of Mason, I lose the last real piece of stability I have left. And I know I shouldn't say this out loud, but it's the truth. I can't handle losing another child. Everyone keeps saying I pushed my kids away. But nobody acknowledges that they left the moment I stopped being the parent who absorbed all consequences for them. They ran to whichever house required less responsibility. They took the easy exit. And now I am the villain for not chasing. People say I should have apologized to Kayla earlier. But apologized for what? For expecting her to keep her word. For not rewarding her when she left the moment she was grounded. I went through hell as a teenager. I wasn't protected. I wasn't considered. I raised myself. I didn't have room to make mistakes. And I survived. So why is it abuse to expect my daughter to handle one consequence? I feel like everyone decided the story was easier if I was the problem. Maybe I'm writing this to prove to myself that I'm not insane. Maybe to understand how the hell I became the villain in my own life. I did not want any of this. I did not want to lose my daughter. I did not want my husband to turn on me. I did not want my home to feel like a court exhibit. All I wanted was for my child to learn that your word means something. And somehow that destroyed my entire life. Comments. Comment 1. You didn't ruin your life by grounding your daughter. You ruined it by refusing to let go of control once it stopped being about parenting and started being about punishment as identity. You're right, teenagers can be reckless. But the goal of parenting isn't to control them into submission. It's to stay connected long enough for them to want to come back. You made the house feel like a courtroom, and your daughter chose exile over trial. Then you did it again with Ava. And now your husband. And the saddest part? Jackson and Mason are next. They're already learning that love from mom means comply or be cut off. You won custody, but you're losing relationships across the board. You didn't build your life on structure, you built it on fear. And everyone finally called it what it was and walked. This isn't a tragedy. This is the natural consequence of parenting through power instead of connection. Now the question is, are you going to learn from it? Or are you just going to keep writing angry posts blaming everyone else? Comment 2. I don't give a SHT how hard your childhood was. You don't get to turn around and emotionally starve your own kids and call it structure. You literally admit you cut off Kayla from her siblings to teach a lesson. That's emotional blackmail. You didn't ground her, you exiled her. Then you punished Ava for staying close to her sister. Then you doubled down when your husband begged you to reconsider. And now you're shocked that everyone left. You didn't lose your family because they couldn't handle discipline. You lost them because you treated love like a effing reward. And now you want Reddit to pat you on the back while you burn your life to the ground. No one owes you forgiveness until you admit what you did was abusive. Not tough love. Not structure. Not holding the line. Abusive. Until you stop justifying this SHT, you will be exactly where you are, alone and convinced it's everyone else's fault. Second story. My boss eavesdropped on my conversation and demoted me from exceeding expectations to mediocre for not cutting off my coworker who was venting about his awful new changes, claiming I'm a cancer to the office after giving 10 years to this job. Am I being petty for feeling hurt? I guess background is important. And sorry it's long. My job performance is exceptional. I meet every necessary mark 100% of the time and have done so for the last 10 years. Maybe an odd month or two in there due to travel and things that would make it impossible. I've also stepped up and carried the load for coworkers when things have come up to ensure our area isn't dinged for performance issues. Clients get along well with me. I've never had a complaint filed against me, etc. You get the idea. I also am known to do all the holiday decorating, coordinate the gifts for office celebrations, bake the desserts, write formal thank yous from our department, and make holiday baskets to help maintain positive relationships with the other agencies we work with. A couple months back, there was a policy change, and none of us were happy about it. I made the best of a bad situation and adapted to the change immediately. My coworkers did as well, but they all called me to complain and vent. This is normal. We tend to complain amongst ourselves for one good BTCH session, and then just say, it is what it is, and continue to work hard and not complain again. Here's where the issue is. While one of my coworkers was venting, my boss was eavesdropping selectively on my side of the conversation, as that's what he could hear. I was commiserating with them, but also pointing out how it wouldn't be that bad. It's in our contract, how we can make it funless, obnoxious, etc., etc., etc. We hung up, and I didn't think about it further, especially since neither of us really said anything that you wouldn't expect an employee to say with the kind of change they're wanting. It was pretty damn tame. I didn't think about it again until my boss called me in a few days later to do an employee evaluation in response to it. In every review I've had here, I've always hit the exceeds expectations in nearly every category. He cut me down to meets expectations on everything. He reamed me for my attitude, for not cutting my coworker off and letting them vent, telling me I should have told them to call him. He accused me of being a negative influence and said that if he didn't nip it in the bud now, it could fester and create a toxic work environment. I was and still am pretty pissed about it. Coworkers should be allowed to vent to each other without it being treated like this. After this, as you may have guessed, I'm just not in the mood to head up everything extra I've been doing to make the office environment fun. I keep my door closed when he's here. I didn't bring dessert for the March birthday lunch. That lunch isn't mandatory, but I didn't want more problems, so I went and just sat quietly the entire time. Now there's another appreciation week/month for one of the departments we work with, and there's been an email chain about cards gifts, and I've responded with the amount I'll put towards it and asked who I should send it to. People are noticing I'm not picking this stuff up, and that chain has gone in a circle for days now, and I'm not budging. I've had one person approach me about it, and I just said I don't have the time to take it on right now. I guess I'm feeling like all the SHT I did on the regular to foster a positive work environment got thrown out, or was never appreciated because I lent an ear to a coworker, and then got viciously reprimanded for it. Like, what's the point if 10 years of going out of my way gets thrown out just like that? Ada for just quietly stepping out of all of these extras due to my feelings on how this was handled. Am I being overly petty? Comments. Comment 1. NTA. The boss, as the kids called it, FOFO'd. Venting is typically a positive and necessary thing, as long as it's handled appropriately, and it sounds as if you were that appropriate bottleneck and sounding board. He was extremely stupid to have not allowed you to explain the situation to him. Stand your ground. Just keep it light, sweet, and my workload is preventing me from keeping up with those extra tasks about it all. OP. Thank you. I did try to explain it to him when he was marking me down. The real irony is he was sitting there calling me a potential negative toxic presence that was going to ruin team morale the day after I had just handed out handmade valentines to my other teammates. Comment 2. I agree with you and absolutely would be hurt in this aspect of having an evaluation weaponized against you. He is toxic management. His actions are going to damage morale more than providing a sympathetic ear will ever do. He boss is going to try and flip this on you. Now that you're not doing the extras that did brighten up your coworkers' days, he may try and come back and use this against you. Do you have a way to formally dispute the evaluation? Can you speak with HR? He is out of line punishing an employee for listening to someone else vent about the workplace. Venting is healthy. Gets things out in the open so work can continue. I think you need to vent to someone higher on the food chain that can wrangle him in. OP. This one isn't the annual, so it doesn't really count towards anything that could impact pay/raises. If my next one goes like this, I will be taking it above him. At that point, it will potentially impact my earnings, and I refuse to get docked pay when I do so much. Comment 3. NTA. You might want to start looking for a new job. Your boss seems to be the type to have the attitude, the beatings will continue until morale improves. He may end up firing you to nip it in the bud and set the other employees straight. OP. Oh, that's the thing. I love this job. It's a good one, and one of the few that still has a union. He wouldn't be able to terminate me unless I actually did something crazy or consistently did not meet my matrix. Comment 4. Can you talk to your union representative about what happened here? OP. I could, but I'm holding off unless he tries to take it further than this. My actual review is up in a few months, and if that goes like this again with how good my performance is, I will be. Comment 5. The fact that he took what he overheard and worked that as part of your performance evaluation is extreme, and tells me there is something more to this on his side. All the extra that you are doing is not part of your work duties, and stepping back is a choice. Simply let people know that you no longer have time to participate in or lead such activities. I would watch things carefully and start documenting. Make sure that your silence and non-participation are not used against you. OP. That's the reason I didn't miss the March birthday lunch. I'm definitely documenting. My plan is to just say, I don't have time with my current case volume, if anyone asks. I've heard he reviewed the person that was complaining to me too, even though he didn't hear their side of the conversation, which I'm thankful for. Not them getting reviewed, but the not hearing part. They were pretty worked up. OP replying to a big downvoted comment. I was already not complaining by the time of the eval, and he had already seen me coordinate with other team members to make a day off it, so the change felt more like a hangout with work versus drudgery. I'm sure he felt like it was a win until I pointed out I'd already been coordinating and encouraging the team, which he had seen, and felt he was not treating me fairly. The eval was absolutely some stupid power play on his part. But I think he realizes he F'd up, because he hasn't been in our office very much since the eval. I've been a supervisor. You don't ream a good employee on a conversation you have heard bits and pieces of, even if the content displeased you. You talk to them and escalate only if it continues. I'm not writing an email to advocate for a change, as I equate that to some form of groveling, and I'm not in a position where I'd need to. Since my numbers and track record speak volumes on their own, my plan is to take it above him if the eval that matters doesn't accurately reflect the data. Then it goes from being my problem to being his to justify to his higher-ups and the union. I'll also consider a formal grievance at that point. You're correct. My cutting back on the morale office party SHT isn't going to change anyone's mind, but it's not being done with the goal to change anyone's mind. I simply don't feel like those efforts were considered and weighed before he essentially accused me of being a cancer to the office, which TBH I found to be very demoralizing and hurtful. It's hard for me to justify continuing it while I feel this way about it. I just feel like I'm being an arsehole to people that didn't do anything by stopping without any explanation or warning. I'll admit, I shouldn't have let people vent to me at the office. That was a mistake on my part. But his performance evaluating the team over it was a huge misstep on his. I'm not planning on quitting. It's a good job with a lot of rare benefits. I'd be an idiot to walk over this, especially where I live. I think when the annual review is up, I'll know if I'm going to have to do more. Update. I hope I'm updating correctly. So a lot of people had asked for an update. I've waited a while after some movement developments. There was an event that usually requires someone to head up the card, gift, and staff coordination things. I had told the team and my boss several weeks in advance this event was pending, and I wouldn't be free. No one did anything until the day before, and then one of them called me to ask that I do all the legwork. I declined, citing that I just did not have the time. Which was is true. My higher-ups cornered me on this a few days later, stating that I've been pulling away, teamwork makes the dream work, etc., and citing this event as evidence. They also cited me being on my phone during unofficial mandatory fun times as further evidence of drawing back. I told them that I had given everyone, boss included, weeks of notice that the event was coming up, and I wouldn't be available to head it up. I pointed out that I'm still helping the team with tasks directly relevant to work. But with my current caseload, I just can't afford to allocate time to the social/event planning right now. As for the mandatory fun, I reminded them that I often don't get lunch breaks due to community meetings that get held at those hours, and my having to flex out early on those days, so having to lose out on a good break on a day I don't have to is burning me out. They fumbled around for about 30 minutes trying to convince me, and I just held firm that with my current caseload, I don't have time to allocate to non-essentials. I was told I'm allowed to prioritize my breaks. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to attend the community meetings recently, and honestly, this might be another thing I end up cutting back on in the long run. Overall, it came across like they're panicked. I'm considering leaving. There was a comment about that concern, and I let them know I'm not planning on leaving. But I am taking time to restructure my priorities, now that my caseload has increased. Comments. Comment 1. You're a woman, aren't you? Don't let them use you for free labor like that either way. He can write his own effing thank you notes. Don't do anything above your job description. You've been there 10 years. It's time to look for a new job. I bet you're underpaid too. Curious what the policy change is, though. OP. Oh, I'm not underpaid. I'm compensated fairly. This is a job worth writing out frustration for. Policy change was to make some non-traditional hours with stipulations mandatory. I'm sure once the changes inevitably result in problems during standard business hours, they'll eventually reconsider this stupid, short-sighted band-aid fix. Comment 2. OP, it sounds like you have a lot of energy and enjoy doing things, getting things done. Rather than feel bad about work, consider using this energy in circles that will appreciate you. Volunteer work, hobby circles, whatever. I do a bit of volunteer work at the local elementary school, and they are 10,000% more appreciative of my time than any boss I've ever worked for. OP. The nature of my work is emotionally draining. You could describe the relationships with coworkers as trauma-bonded at times. I do not have it in me at the end of my 40 hours to do more of what I do at work for no pay. I know that sounds awful, but I need my non-work hours to spend time with friends, family, pets, and hobbies. I can't serve from an empty vessel. I know everyone is saying just quit, etc. But that's realistically not a solution for me. I love the work that I do. I find large areas of it to be incredibly fulfilling, and I'm having a positive impact on my community. I know that I bring a personal history that allows me to be somewhat good at what I do. I'm not sure they'd be able to easily find another me, and that's unfortunately what the clients on my caseload need. Beyond that, however, I enjoy coming in to work at least 90% of the time. I know I wouldn't be able to find another job that checks all the boxes this one does, especially not where I live. Comment 3. NTA, but seriously, weren't you overdoing it? Do your work, enjoy your time. OP. I never work over 40 hours. My hours end, and I walk right out the door, and I leave the work phone there too. I don't think I was overdoing it, just making sure I was covering those that will cover me when things come up. It's not even a weekly occurrence, and they always reciprocate. I still plan on helping cover what needs coverage in regard to things relevant to the job, just not the cards party planning stuff due to the way I'm feeling about things right now. Comment 4. No one ever got promoted for making a cake or organizing a birthday party. Wise up, ladies. There is a reason men don't do this and get promoted. They focus on the job, not on trying to be a mother to the workplace. OP. I have zero desire to be promoted. I left a managerial position where I ran 3 programs to do this job. Less work, more pay, less responsibility. Not everyone fantasizes about job titles. Comment 5. 1. How the hell are you achieving exceeds expectations? I have done everything extra, volunteered for additional tasks and responsibilities, and have only ever gotten meets. Last year I actually got sick of it and asked what it actually takes, and was told flat out that corporate designs the metric to make it impossible. He's a typical mid-management corporate jackhole. Took a one-sided conversation clip and got scared and offended his bullshit tea isn't being eaten up with a smile. Then he just cracks down on you overall over one incident where he was eavesdropping. FM. NTA. OP. I am very detail-oriented, organized, and efficient to a fault. A lot of stuff I do simply because I feel guilty for having free time at work. I could probably complete all my job functions each week in like 20 hours if I was allowed that option. I've always been like this. I probably have some kind of disorder. I'm just as bad at home. My husband has told me that I complete more in the time between waking and getting to work than a lot of people manage in an entire day. The job I left for this one had to hire more than one person to replace me. But training was probably easy because I wrote a guide on what needed to be done daily / weekly / monthly / quarterly / annually, and gave them my spreadsheets. I know if I reached out to that previous job, they'd snap me up in an instant, but their pay and benefits are SHT. Comment 6. Any update on your boss reaction? So invested in your story. OP. Not really. Hate to disappoint. The thing is, he's a pretty decent boss most of the time. I think that's why I was so shocked about this whole situation. We don't have a lot of mandatory fun stuff in our office, so I guess there haven't been many opportunities. I'm holding strong to just not heading it up. I'm doing my job, and that's about it. My coworkers haven't reached out at all this week, so I think they're processing how to approach my sudden weirdness distance. Update. The annual performance evaluation is in, and it's just as dismal as the retaliatory one. I've declined signing it without discussion, and I've contacted my union. This feels like punitive retaliation. If they can't justify the decreases despite my consistent quality performance, I will be quiet quitting everything that's not a core job function, as continuing to do so will feel like chasing an unattainable metric. Update in the comments. The union advised that technically the review is valid as they're going by the letter of the set parameters, and the boss advised that since I meet my deadlines and quotas, it's valid. I have gone the route of quiet quitting. Nothing outside the minimum to meet expectations, so my raises aren't impacted. I've called in sick on a few days. There was non-mandatory but unspoken mandatory fun. I've ceased community outreach so that I'm not missing my breaks. Coworkers are aware there was unjust retaliation. More changes have come that impact management. Boss is talking about taking a job with less of a commute. I know I'll be encouraged to apply for their position. All I'm going to do when that happens is laugh. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.